The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 223. On deck, excited to have all of our guests lined up and in the wings. Eric, I know I said it, and now I blanked on Eric Tadej, waiting in the wings. We're going to be, I don't know. We'll ask him again. He's I could have swore that I've been over it like 3 or 4 times today, making sure that I had it right. But good show on deck. We're going to be talking with him a little bit about May Mania, and then catching up with George Highnote in a little bit to talk a little about Urban Destruction coming up this weekend. Zach Olson celebrating a birthday today. It was a busy day for that. Matt Menard, Joe Wynot, one of our buddies out in New England, Drew Fawcett, and local guy Pat Keebler all have birthdays going today, of course. Brian, your birthday was back in January, and nobody knows what day it is.
Nobody cares.
Not really, no. Not so much.
Ooh, hey there.
Yep.
How was your Easter, Chris?
It was good. Why isn't that working?
I saw some pictures, you and the family.
It was fun. It was a good day.
Did you find any Easter eggs containing, 3 finger or 3 olives or
No, nothing like that.
that?
Nope. Not even close. No, but the Easter Bunny did find a way to fit. If it doesn't fit in the basket, then it can't be left by the Easter Bunny. It's not Easter Claus. If it doesn't fit in the basket, it can't be left.
Keep going. I got a thought. Keep going.
Okay. It's basically around chocolates and maybe finding a couple Easter eggs that might have a quarter or 2 in them, and that's sort of the max of what it is. But somehow a WWE SmackDown Championship belt did fit into the Easter basket, along with a couple wrestling figures, Asuka being one of them, and John Cena for Kelsey, and Braun Strowman, The Rock, and Brock Lesnar for Alan. And then we spent most of the afternoon watching WrestleMania 33, which was on the WWE Network on demand.
So at what point did the Easter Bunny start bringing presents? Because I know when I was a kid, the Easter Bunny didn't bring presents. One time I think I got a basketball. And then after that, I never got presents. But now the Easter Bunny brings presents to everybody.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a new world.
Yeah. Crazy. Okay. After that thought, I'm the next.
At Josh's house, the Easter Bunny brings Chryslers.
Well,
which is a little bit of a different world yet from anything that's happening at our house. No, it was a nice calm day. We'd actually done all the Easter family stuff the weekend before. My brother's kid's birthday fell on that weekend, so we just lumped everything together. We just started stacking reason upon reason to just knock it all out that day, and we would be.
Did you manage to have yourself a nice
done it over with
gluten-free feast?
We had actually we had gluten-free meatballs, which was a big deal.
Nice.
It's just using gluten-free breadcrumbs. It's not that hard to do, but they were pretty good with gluten-free pasta. It was good.
Awesome. Usually, you eat cardboard and grass clippings, so I was sure you had something good to eat.
I was excited to see the weather was changing, so I could get some grass clippings. Fresh ones. Yeah,
that's going to be awesome.
It was neat. The crocuses had poked up through. We've had these crocuses in our front yard for years, dating back into the 90s, and they've never been replanted or anything, and that's been mowed over and knocked down and redone, and there was a pine tree in that spot for a long time, but sure as anything, they just pop up every year.
Cool.
Just leave them alone, which is kind of neat. Some old crocuses. But yeah, how about you? Everything go smooth?
It was good. I worked, and then we went to my sister's and had a good meal there, and it was funny. We as a family, we kind of decided we're going to talk to Mom a little bit about her eating habits.
Yeah,
because she has quit smoking, but she, she's some of her eating choices just not the best. She's doing better, but so we talked with her a little bit about that. And, it was good. I was happy to have her there with us, and like I said, we just kind of hung out and talked and did some busting of the chops, and it was a good day.
Nice.
Pretty relaxing.
Well, that's good. And then, like we said, a bunch of people celebrating birthdays. Happy birthdays out to them, and we've already got Facebook messages coming in. That's well, they can wait. But Eric is somewhere in the rurals of Montana. If I have to put a guess out there, hanging out in the parking lot, sitting in his truck, so he has enough reception to talk with us a little bit about teaming with Caleb Sorensen and running May Mania this year. Eric, how are you? That's good. Glad everything's going well for you. Where are you in your travels now?
In the middle of 6 inches of fresh snow today.
Oh,
no thanks.
Keep all that.
Yeah, I thought spring was here, but
there's if it makes you
it's not.
It makes you feel any better. I saw there was a report that there's another nor'easter brewing off the coast. It's going to bring spring snow to some of the coastal cities. So we'll get a little bit of it in our neck of the woods, generically speaking. We're still 6 hours from the coast, so maybe we won't have any of that dusting land. But it's still sitting out there for other people besides you.
Right.
I mean, it was only 48 and sunny here today, so other than that, it was okay to deal with.
Work doesn't stop in that snow either, does it?
No. Unfortunately, it makes it hard to I got a bunch of cars out at my buddy's, and they get a lot of wind out there, and it drifted in around my cars probably 5 feet.
Yikes.
So going to pick out a car for May Mania was about impossible. I ended up just having to go buy another car.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, that really it works out well because all those ones that are in ice storage, you know, they're not going to rust or anything. They'll be there for you later on.
True.
It's like protecting the investment. So, what did you end up picking for? What did you end up picking for May Mania?
Buick Electra.
Not a bad choice.
Yeah, I think that'd be just fine of a choice right there. That's that event always a hard hitting show. You're teaming up with Caleb Sorensen this year. What's he going to bring? He's
got the same exact car.
Same thing, same year. All of them are police issue, tow package, Buick Electra.
Like that, yeah.
It's amazing how
he gets to run a 2-door, though. I'm stuck with a 4-door. So.
It's amazing how all of them end up being a tow package.
Every last one of them.
Building them.
Every one of them made.
Absolutely.
Every one of them made, every one of them built, depending on how you look at it. But, so, I mean, you got to be excited about going out there for May Mania. We've shared some pictures of it before. The event now moving to that Spirit of 47 arena right in Salt Lake City. It's a stone throw from the airport. The facility is gigantic and seat like 10,000 people. So, I mean, even if it's half full, you're going to be in front of one of the arguably one of the largest crowds that you've ever had the opportunity to compete in front of. And the atmosphere there is unlike any other.
To tell you the truth, I'm kind of bummed out.
Why is that?
Because I've never got to run the Golden Spike Arena.
Well, just so happens last week, Johnny said that they're putting another show together at the Golden Spike about a month later. By then, all your cars will be thawed out, and you'll be able to build another one head of the Golden Spike.
Perfect.
How much time through the course of the summer do you actually spend in Utah?
Last year, I don't think I ran a show there last year.
Well, last year was a bit of an anomaly year for you. You didn't do quite as much traveling as to that neck of the woods as you had in the past. But it seemed like you're a pretty regular competitor out in that neck of the woods.
Yep, I ran Lazenby shows a couple times. Hot Rockin' Fourth, Halloween Havoc, and I still haven't got to run May Mania. We were signed up last year, and it just never worked out. So.
Right.
This will be the year.
So, I mean, to miss out on it last year, where are you at in terms of this year? Is it more of a drive to get there and make sure that everything falls in line so that you can compete, or is it just one of those, it's another derby, we just didn't make it to that one and we move on?
Every first derby of the year, it just seems like you just put way more into it than any other car.
Mm-hmm.
You order all your stuff over winter, and everything's all fresh and shiny and brand new, and that seems to be my best car, is the very first one I build for the year. Just because you invest more time into it, or you have more time to invest in it? I think it's both.
Yeah.
Just excited to get back in it and make everything a little more neater and
Is there anything is there anything close to you aside of, I mean, going extremely early like Winter Slam? Is there anything close to you that you'd be able to start the season at this same time of the year? I mean, looking at May, we're about 5 weeks or so off from May Mania taking flight. Would you have an opportunity to run any place else closer to home?
The closest one would be Billings, Montana, and that's 3 hours from me. Mm-hmm. But it's just a indoor, compact, one heat thing.
Right. Compacts don't.
I've ran it before, and it just, I don't think I'll ever go back to it. It's kind of like the monster trucks. They bring in, their set of rules for the checkered flag thing or whatever, and it ends up not working out for anyone, and a lot of people are pretty upset with that show. So,
in terms of compacts, what's their definition of compacts up there?
Pretty much the same as all over, and I don't think they allow pacers, but
no.
Anything else is fair game. I think aluminas are fine, and and it's kind of one of those local, throw a car together over the weekend kind of thing, and then if anyone shows up that has any derby knowledge, they kind of frown upon it, it seems like.
Gotcha.
Eric, you mentioned that you ran a lot of different shows out there in Utah. From the tracks that you've ran on, are they all kind of the same? Do they all kind of have the sandy soil, or is there some different style of tracks out there?
That one in Lazenby is that second year I ran. That thing was hard. The thing was almost like a Blizzard Bash style track, it seemed like.
Very nice.
And then I've never had any issues getting stuck or anything as far as like what tires to run, but a lot of guys, they don't recommend running skid steers out there. This was a few years back just because of the sandiness and digging down and getting stuck. I think it was like Scott Mannering ended up like second at one of those shows over there because he backed up and went forward and it just dug right down and he was stuck.
Oof. That's most of them that I've seen out there. They always appear to have the sandy style surface.
Yeah, it's almost, and it's deceiving. It's not as sandy as you might expect it to be. It's almost like a loomy content where it can hold a little bit of moisture and pack in a little bit. But once it dries out, it does tend to get a little bit looser. Yeah. I mean, not to the point where I can't really remember any time where we had people that were digging holes in my trips out there. And that's the last 2 years. I can't remember anything off the top of my head. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. It just doesn't strike my memory.
When we went out there the first year, I remember it was sandy, but it was still hard. I mean, they're all fast tracks. I mean, the hitting up there is second to none. So I mean, obviously, I just didn't know if there was in any other places where they'd done something different and adjusted the soil in here, if it was all just the typical sand.
With the amount of times that you've made the trip down to Utah, what's the draw? I mean, you could look at friendships and how small the world has become because of Facebook. You can look at the promoters. You look at the money. There's a lot of reasons to go try those shows in Utah. Why do you make the trip?
I think number one is they pay a lot.
That is for sure.
More than anywhere else.
Yeah, that's.
And Johnny and those guys, they're just straight up, straightforward. Mm-hmm. They don't let things go. Everything's built to the rules. They got good tech guys. Most of the time, if people are just flying right through tech, you're kind of sitting back wondering what's going on. And
right,
like last year there at Mania, there was a couple different cars that spent a good hour up there. Mm-hmm. So they're paying attention to detail and they're doing things right.
The tech process itself out there, the way that they do so much information sharing, and they let the drivers weigh in on stuff as well. Do you like that?
I do. Johnny sends out an email every once in a while that has the little Q&A thing on it, and you can kind of skim through there. And a lot of the times you read through the rules and you don't quite understand what's going there, and you don't want to push it, but you do want to push it.
Right.
So it's kind of nice to read through those questions, and you're thinking, hey, I was just wondering that myself. And they're all answered there for you.
The money aside, the tech process has really been shored up quite a bit the last 2 years. There's been a lot of changes there. Ben's been involved with that as well, and is on that, I guess, so to say, the advisory panel. He's been answering questions. He's been out there to tech a bunch of times. Yep. And things are definitely tightening up. But by the same token, the pace hasn't changed any. We're still seeing the guys driving just as hard as they ever were. Tech aside, what's your take on the pace? Is that another one of the reasons to go out there and be part of it, because the guys drive so hard and they're so, for lack of a better term, reckless?
It is. It's worth a trip to drive out there with those guys. So they definitely have the hard-hitting name, and it's fun to be right there with them and competing. I like the whole competition aspect of it.
You come back further east, and the driving style changes a little bit. The top drivers are the guys that are able to keep their composure, keep their steering, and keep their cool longer, and in varying degrees. That people call that from money driving to good drivers to sandbagging, whatever it is. It would strike me also, though, that it's a challenge to drive out there in Utah on the flip side of it, because everybody is so unpredictable and they're so aggressive that you could take a kill shot out of nowhere that you don't even see coming. Do you feel that helps quantify at all your ability as a driver to go out there and compete with things that are that unpredictable?
I think everyone's pretty much in the same boat as far as that goes. But if a guy goes out there and, like Ponzer when him and Fetra won it, I mean, those guys are wheel man. Like,
yes.
They can wheel some cars.
Definitely.
And they went out there and they proved they can wheel and won the show. I mean, any type of driving, I think, is good for out there, because you can wheel and stay out of the way of the big hits, but like you said, you never know when you're going to end up right in front of the crash course announcing booth.
That's happened. It's become a little bit too much of a game, actually, being out there so many times. Poor Byron there with his Town and Country wagon. That thing got perched in front of us, and
it was not straight.
That was,
So that car was not straight. It was.
I don't think the car was hurt nearly as bad as the announce stand was. Poor Rachel's finger wasn't straight. That's for sure.
It's better now, though.
It is better.
Eric, do you like the style build in Utah, or what kind of what style do you prefer of build?
I used to be just like Blizzard Bash old iron mod build.
Yep.
Plus, that was my go-to. That's what I liked. But anymore, as long as the rules are fair, I don't care what the rules are. Derbian's Derbian.
That's cool.
That's an interesting response. Whatever the rules are, as long as it's fair.
Yeah.
Derbian's Derbian. Yep. Because we've had so many people on that have gone vehemently one way or another, where they come on and they say, yeah, I'm definitely into the mod classes. I want to protect my investments. I want to protect my transmissions, and I want to protect my motor and everything. Or the other way, where the stock movement has got people sort of re-energized for Demolition Derby, and you're saying whatever the rules are in front of you, as long as everybody's to it, you're willing to build.
Yep, absolutely. Well, just like last year, I ran a bunch of shows just around Montana that I haven't ran in a while. And when you can whip a car together in a week and go be competitive, or even bring home the W, I mean, and still have just as much fun as you would if you spent 3 months on the car. I think it's still Derbian.
Sure.
I think that's something that a lot of promoters are taking into account. In your, like we've touched on before, the promoters with the good inspection staff, that's what keeps things fair. So I mean, like Eric said, as long as everybody's built to the same, then it's Derbian, and let may the best man win.
Sure.
But I think that's kind of where derbies have started to progress to. You're not getting the guys that are getting away with stuff, or where the inspection staff just doesn't really care. They're just get it through and let's get it over and get out of here. guys have, inspectors have really, they've gotten real serious about their craft, and they take a lot of pride in it. And it's not just to find the stuff, but to help the guys fix it. So it's legal to run. And I definitely think that's also one of the things that's helped Derby the last few years is, inspections around the country have gotten better. And it's making it more even for everybody.
Would you agree with that? Inspections have gotten more even around the country?
From the shows that I've went and watched and competed in, yeah, I think that's fair to say.
How many derbies do you typically do a year?
2 years ago I did 10. That was the most I've done. Last year I did 9. So it's anywhere from 6 to 8, I guess.
Yeah, but where you live, that's a lot more whiplash than where we live. I mean, Eric, if you're not familiar, Eric's from up in that same neck of the woods where you can see Poncer and Fetro and the Rohrbachs and Stenberg and Yanni. It's a place where a lot of hard GMs are built, and they just wail on each other all summer long. You had the chance to run Blizzard Bash too there not too long ago. Is that something that's on the radar again?
Yeah, we're signed right back up.
Cool.
Are you going to be?
I think I'm really close to spending $800 on entries this year, and I haven't even ran yet. So that's real great.
That's a tough one. Getting that far out, but I mean, with how fast some of these shows fill up, you've almost got to do it. You got to put the money up front just to secure the spot. Because I mean, worst case scenario, you can always sell the spot off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
It's strange. I mean, I was kind of bored the other day, and I was surfing the web and I was looking at stuff for Blizzard Bash already. And I mean, by the calendar, it's still a ways off, but I mean, it's not going to be long. We're going to be talking about it.
No,
I mean, it's going to be. It's going to be here and gone. I mean,
I just did the slides today.
Yeah, we're in April now, so I mean, a month from now we'll be at Mayhem, and then May Mania, and then the local stuff's going to start, or May Mania, then Bash for Cash, and then the local stuff is going to start, and we're going to be in Topeka again before you know it. It's just
I called down to book a room the Friday after Blizzard Bash at Capitol Plaza, and I was already 16th in the waiting line. So,
wow, the Friday after Blizzard Bash or the Friday after Capital City?
The Friday after Blizzard Bash.
Wow,
so you're out.
Holy cow, that's crazy.
And that list is a lot longer than 16 people now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there's a good 100, 200 behind me.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it was funny this year. When we went out there for Capital City Carnage, Daniel Orton's wife ended up getting a room the day of the Saturday. They got a room at the plaza because people were checking out early from the meeting or whatever it was that they were.
Oh,
having
right,
there.
yeah.
So they were actually able to get a room that day. I'm like, that's a lucky one right there. But
that actually happened to us the first year at Carnage.
Really?
Because we totally spaced even booking rooms, and we were probably an hour and a half out of Topeka, and I called every single one except the plaza, knowing, they're going to be full, and I told everyone in the truck, well, I'm going to call, and this ain't, it's not even going to happen. Well, he said, yep, we got one room available.
So you stacked a truck full of people in it?
I said, I'll take it.
Jeez.
Stacked a truck full of people in it, and you were good to go.
Yeah, I think we had 7 people in one room.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that. Just start laying out the sleeping bags. That's cool. Hopefully you have a little bit better luck in terms of your accommodations when you get down to May Mania.
Oh, yeah, we're already booked down there.
Cool.
There's a bunch of hotels to pick from right close to the airport. It is really nice having that event in Salt Lake City now instead of having to travel farther south. I mean, take nothing away from the Golden Spike. It's such a beautiful sight to see. And I guess, Eric, now you're going to make the trip down there in June to go take part of that. That way you can check the Golden Spike off your to-do list.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm running Mandan, too, so schedule's pretty tight.
Mandan's going to be a good one this year.
It's always a
Should be. I haven't ran that since 2015, so...
It's always a hard-hitting show.
Always just a slugfest. And there's some major players coming from out of town, which are really going to change up some of the dynamics there. I'm looking forward to that. We'll get into that a little bit deeper when we get closer to it. I mean, I'd like to say that, but in reality, it's like, what, 2 months away?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't say that.
Well, yeah, but you got to look at the bright side. By then, the snow will probably be melted. You'll be able to get cars out of your backfield.
Well, I thought that a month ago, but by the time it rolls around to do that, we're gonna be battling mud. So.
Oh man,
you're gonna be battling what?
Mud.
Oh, gotcha. I understand.
Mud,
yeah. Because then all those cars that have been in cold storage will have sunk up to the axles. You have to dig them out of the slop.
Oh man,
Montana problems, I guess.
My buddy sent me a Snapchat video the other day of just right down the road from where my cars are. The little 2-foot wide creek that runs under the road had washed the road out, and that thing was probably 50 feet wide just running through there. So I can only imagine what else is out there.
That's kind of scary.
Does he live close enough to... Go ahead.
It's the most snowfall we've got since 1977, I think.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Okay, so you got to stay with me for this. If you live close to that river, safely close, and someone who's also a Derby fan up the river has their cars washed away, and those cars end up at his house, do you get to keep them?
Possibly.
Because a 50-foot wide creek, as it were, that could move some iron.
Yeah, that's good. And the nice thing,
I'm sure if Dave Kemsley hears about wagons floating down the river, he'll be right down there.
Not only that, it could season some frames. I mean, you get them set in the right spot, they could get filled with sediment. And
seasoning frames.
You're good to go.
You know anything about that?
Maybe he'll go push a couple in there for the purpose.
Just what I read about on the internet.
It's I've heard tell of such things, but I've never seen one. I don't think.
No, it's
you ever
too
seen
much
one?
work for me. Too much work.
You can't even make your Mopar's tow package cars.
No, that's way too much work. I'm still trying to find a cop car subframe.
Yeah,
never had one of those.
You just got to weld a little. Never mind. It looks good anyway.
Yeah, it does.
But anybody that you want to make mention of that helps make sure that you guys get down to May Mania? Any sponsors?
My teammate Caleb Sorensen, he's a big sponsor in all of my Derby and Rally. He's always there to help and hauling cars to Derbies. And I was just over in Williston, that's where he lives, this last weekend, and we just went crazy on those cars for 3 days straight. And he still found time to cook us a prime rib right in the shop, and it was one of the best Easters I've had. So he's definitely a big part of all this.
Yeah,
cool.
We could all use a sponsor like that.
Prime rib.
Absolutely.
I can do that.
Well, you guys, I wish you the best, and hopefully this thing comes around where you can check this thing off in big style. Go out there, and you guys can certainly hang with them. We've seen it done before, and finally getting a chance to go and compete at May Mania. You guys have got to be excited.
Absolutely. Well, even the last time you had called me and I was on here, that next show I ended up winning, so that might be good luck.
There you go.
Not the first time we've heard that story either. That'd be cool. Earlier this year, we had a guy who had just moved up to, on the 31st lap, he had just moved up to the 410 sprints and running in eastern Pennsylvania. And he just moved up and was starting with this new operation. He was really excited about the prospects for the year and was getting ready to go. And he won his first time out the week after he was on the show. So that's
very cool.
I don't know if it's that it gives the guys a confidence boost or what it is, but if it keeps working, we'll keep having people on.
I just need good luck for the snow to go away now.
There you go.
we'll see what we can do.
You can send some my way.
We'll talk more. Keep us posted how the summer goes.
Sounds good.
Always good to talk with you, Eric. We'll talk to you soon.
Guys. Yep. You too.
See you now. There goes
Bye.
Eric Tadej checking in. Unfortunately, had a ton of snowfall on him. It's not fun. Not fun.
No,
but he'll get by. I mean,
oh, yeah.
all all the cold storage. It's basically like cryogenically freezing the frames up there. It's fine.
We're good.
No big deal.
Yeah. Cryo was a big thing for a while.
it was.
And they moved on.
It was the hot ticket, but now we're on to bigger and better things.
I believe it's heat treating is what I heard.
Heat treating. There's
that's what I've heard.
Any number of different things that it could be. Any number of different things. So we got to turn our attention to this. Hopefully next week. It didn't come along the way that I was hoping it to get a couple folks on to talk about this show. But it is something that's on the radar. Chaos in the Valley 2018. 2 shows that dominate the Shenandoah Valley. Jason Shipe, Penny Shipe, overseeing these 2 derbies, and they all go to benefit Townsville Volunteer Fire Department. The spring date is April 21st. We're going to be down there and doing some element on top of the announcing duties down there. Weld, stock, and compact classes are each paying $2,000 win. Showtime is 5 o'clock. If your car is not through Tech by 3, you will not be in competition. So there's some incentive to get there early. This is happening at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds in Woodstock, Virginia. The fall date is October the 20th, also at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds in Woodstock, Virginia. Showtime there, 5 o'clock. Monster builds, monster payouts. This was the show last year where they injected an extra $3,000 to the top of the compact feature. Ended up paying $8,000 for the compacts, and they had 55 cars there. It was awesome. And again, all of them would go as fundraisers to Townsville Volunteer Fire Department, Chaos in the Valley, online, facebook.com/Chaos Valley. This is the one that we were just talking about. May Mania, the 2-man team show, 18th and 19th in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's at that awesome new venue. They are trying to put in 2 jumbotrons. You know, like what you see like at the top of the Citrus Bowl? Yep. They're trying to put in 2 of those on each side. They already built the substructure that'll hold it up. Now they just need to get the video equipment to put it in. Cool. It's like, it's just another mill, whatever. I don't know. I have no idea what it's cost, but it's like, in a couple of years we're going to. So it's coming. Can you imagine that? That's cool. Being able to make a hit. And if you're doing it right, you can watch the hit happen on the big screen as you make the hit.
Guys in the NFL, they watch all the time. When they're running down the field, they see who's behind them.
Yeah.
So you could be lining the hit up, checking to make sure there's nobody coming, and just let her eat. It's crazy.
Brilliant. It's a cool deal. The next big show, Forced Dirt Racing, after May Mania, where you can go see Eric and Caleb Sorensen in competition, is the Wasatch Wipeout. It returns to the schedule on 27th and 28th of July. It's in Heber City, Utah. $90,000 in prize money. The winner takes home $25,000. Fifth through last get $1,000 each. There's a $5,000 Mad Dog Award. Farm trucks, front wheel drives, and passengers each also on the card for the Wasatch Wipeout, and that's $4,500 payout for each of those classes. Online, SternDirtRacing.com. The Bash for Cash, that one's coming up soon. The Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio. Memorial Day weekend. Everybody knows when this is happening. Everybody's looking forward to it. Got some changes this year that we've talked about before that everybody's pretty stoked about as well. The Near Big Rock $11,000 kicker class is now open to both new and old iron cars. The old iron bonus, if somebody can win it in an old iron, they get an extra $3,000, or they take home an extra $1,500 is the highest finishing old iron in the event. It's won by a metric car. The DerbyTees.com Turn Back the Clock class, same thing but different. It's a bonus going to the metric cars. In the event that is won by an old iron, you get an extra $1,500. If it's won by a metric car, you get an extra $3,000. 10,001 DEC Headers Compact Class, Frank the Tank Old School Wire Class, Full Size Trucks, Youth Compact, Compact Trucks. There's a couple openings left at $75 to enter. 80s Wire Class, and the street stocks are all full. Smash It Demolition Derbies overseas and online, SmashItDerby.com. Road Rage Entertainment. This one's coming up on June the 2nd. It's at the Broome County Fairgrounds at Whitney Point. It's the first derby that they've had a chance to oversee, so they're pretty excited about getting this one up and off the ground. Compact teams sold out super quick. There's 1 spot left for the trucks. There's only 1 spot left for the full-size V8 team format. They're looking to start this show pretty much right on the money at 1 o'clock. They got that cool double ring thing happening for the Power Wheels. There's $1,000 guaranteed to each of the one and dones, which is full-size V8, junk runner, and compacts. There's an RC Derby with JMW Motorsports. The Power Wheels, as we said, were on there. The kids want to play area. A bunch of local teachers volunteer to keep an eye on the kids. If they get bored, you can go over and do some of the coloring competitions and stuff that they've got planned there. Online, Facebook.com/Road Rage Enter. Spinning Wheels Productions, they're going to kick off their season June the 16th. Just Otsego County Fairgrounds and Morris. The Jeffy's Fab Farm Mini Meltdown is on deck. The 4,000 to win compact show has $2,000 for a second, $1,000 for a third, and a $1,000 Mad Dog. 105 entries, and it's full. That's all they're taking for that particular event right there. And then the one-and-done classes are $500 to win, plus 75% of the entries for the economy V8s, limited weld V8s, full-size trucks, and compact trucks, all happening there. Also noticed on the Spinning Wheels Production schedule online at spinningwheelsproductions.com, they've got the Otsego County Fair back under their belt, and they've got a ton more stuff coming for the season. We'll get into that here a little bit closer.
I asked Jeremy how things were looking for the remote, and he said tired. So it sounds like he's going to have a pretty busy season.
It's going to be a tough one for him. Bringing this one back on, finish this conversation up with John King over the weekend. Brookfield Wheel Days. We're going to be back over at that one at the Madison County Fairgrounds in Brookfield, New York, September the 22nd. Annual fall cleanup show. Small 4-cylinders and small 6-cylinders run together, and then big 6-cylinders run together, and then the bigger yet 6-cylinders run with small V8s, and then the big V8s run together. There's a heat for Imperials. Basically, you're going to see 14 rounds of qualifying, maybe a consi or two, and then the features plus the light trucks, the big trucks. It's an awesome show. By the time you're done, you'll probably see 14, 15, 16 heats of action total, plus the features. It's usually a long night, but there's usually several dozen cars in each of the individualized classes and stuff. I think last year was a little down. The year before that, they had like 175 cars. Mm-hmm. It's crazy the turnout that they get there. That's overseen by King Smash from Crasham Demolition Derbies. They're online, facebook.com/King Smash from Crasham. You can also find more information on MadisonCountyFairNY.com. King Smash from Crasham also oversees the Madison County Fair that's held in Brookfield July 12th and 14th. The Fair Championship pays $1,000 for first in the compacts and $1,500 to the winner of the full-size division. So jump online, check those guys out. They have a giant speedway schedule as well. They're going to Fulton, Brewerton, Utica, Rome. A lot of good things happening for King Smash from Crasham coming up in 2018. Blizzard Bash tentative schedule is out there for 28-18, which is definitely not what year that is. We haven't gotten that far into the annals of time.
I can talk to your graphics guy.
Blizzard Bash 2018, Kansas Expo Center, Topeka, Kansas. November 7th is the heat draws. November 8th is the first round of qualifying for the national and qualifying teams. November the 9th, 5 o'clock, is the compact and limited weld team heat draws. National and qualifying team round 2 is at 6 o'clock. On November the 10th at 10 a.m., compact and limited weld team heats kick it off, and at 6 o'clock, all the B features for all 4 team formats, plus the trucks and limited welds on the schedule there. And then Championship Sunday comes at 1 o'clock, Bone Stock, 80s Mod, and all 4 team A mains on the schedule there. Jump online for more information, blizzardbash.com. So what do you think?
So you were talking about Chaos in the Valley.
Yeah.
And continued on, so I couldn't come up with the
yeah, because I had to rattle through all that. We had a lot to...
Yeah, you're busy paying bills. It's amazing. I've been to, 5 or 6 derbies in my life now.
I should...
And for them to have added an extra, 2,000 or 3,000 last year into the pot for the compacts, that's amazing. I can safely say that I've never been to a derby where they said, hey, we're going to give you guys more money. Now, I've been to a lot of derbies where they said, geez, we didn't get quite enough cars. We're going to cut your purse in half. I can't tell you.
We're 3 cars short. We're cutting your purse in half.
Yeah, I can't tell you how
that
many
math doesn't work.
That has happened and how just annoying it is and how disrespectful it is. But for them to just throw another $3,000 at a class, I mean that's pretty awesome. I mean it's promoters like that derby drivers have to support.
We've got George Highnote joining us on the line, getting ready for Urban Destruction, which is this weekend. We'll recap last year what we saw in the compact division. Ethan Wagler came up with a win over Greg Gerber. Matt Lancaster in the pre-ran metric class over Corey Parrish. Bill Myrick won the kicker class over Aaron Scott and Mark Scott. In the trucks, it was Ray Hagedorn winning over Michael Fisher. And the Urban Destruction headline class, Lloyd Kirkham won over Todd Robinson, Don Santel, Sean McCollum, Chad Geese filling out the top 5. Heck of a rundown in the top 5 right there. And George Highnote, you're going to be front and center getting to watch all of that action over the weekend, working with DerbyTees.tv on DerbyNation.tv. You excited about this thing or what?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for it. First year over there, we almost had a truck in our laps.
Yeah.
Where they normally park us at. So you guys have had some experience with that.
Oh, yeah. Certainly makes you appreciate not having anything behind you so that you can bail out. If you got anything behind you, boy, it starts getting real hairy real fast.
Oh yeah. Well, we were in the mobile studio, so it would have probably hurt for a little bit, but not been too terrible.
Right. If you think about this, right? So they're concerned about a car landing on their lap, and they're inside the mobile studio. If a car gets to your lap, several catastrophic things have gone wrong in order for that to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Also, the mobile studio's in trouble because the side of that thing would have been opened up like a can opener.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like a camper, so I mean, the side of it would have been gone, and we probably would have been too.
Well, that's we certainly don't want that. You got a lot of derbies to announce coming up this year. You guys are going to be plenty busy. The Urban Destruction Show, it's a staple. A lot of folks are looking forward to that one. What about for you beyond Urban Destruction, and where else are you going to be working this year?
Beyond Urban Destruction, we've got River City Rampage,
Mm-hmm.
May 4th and 5th, Spring Explosion at the end of April, the 27th and 28th.
Right.
Then over to Bash for Cash to hang out with you guys for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff over there. Got quite a bit of stuff coming up this summer.
And you're going to be at all those?
Definitely. Yes, I'm going to be at all those.
So basically, between sleeping in the camper at Demolition Derbies and sleeping at UPS to ship out graphics, you're not going to be home at all.
No, not at all. My wife's not very happy about it.
Yeah, there's a fan club for that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a great summer. Between going to shows for the live stream, and then county fair style shows around home, I should be busy just about every weekend. It's seeming like.
That is not good. That is not good for you at home. But in terms of Demolition Derby, that's fantastic. But if your wife's upset now, you wait till about the end of July.
Oh yeah. Well, I made her a promise that beginning of July I would take a break for the rest of the year. We've got a little girl due July 10th, so beginning of the year or beginning of July, I'm going to take off. I'll still be doing orders and shipping stuff out to people, but I won't be traveling as much.
And she already has come to peace with the fact you're breaking that promise to her?
I don't think she knows yet.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you're honest about it.
She might after this, but
yeah. Is she listening?
I don't know. I told her I'd be on here, but I don't know if she is or not.
Well, within
I've blown up with a bunch of nasty text messages. So
I was just going to say, within a few minutes when your phone starts blowing up and we can hear the phone vibrating through the speakers, then we'll know that she has at least been tuned in for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
How's the graphic side of things been going? I mean, you've been swamped. We see your stuff all over the place. When we get out into Topeka, we see it all over the place. We get to Bash for Cash. You certainly come a long ways with the graphic side of things.
Yeah, everything's going great. I've had a few little setbacks this year. Had some equipment go down at the end of January. Just received it back last week. Got it back into production, so I'm slowly catching back up with everything. I've got a lot of designs that I need to get done, but on top of designs, if you're not able to produce actual product, the designs don't really do you a whole lot of good.
True.
So I've been slowly getting worked through everything and just making the most of it. I never thought that I would be where I'm at with this 6 years ago when I first started.
Right.
But I enjoy it, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
It is crazy where things evolve to. You know what I mean? In all facets of Demolition Derby. Are you going to get into a car at all this year?
I am. I've actually got. This is another thing I hope she's not listening for. I've got probably 10 cars stretched between 3 states right now that I'm trying to get all acquired into the correct, or I shouldn't say the correct place, but I'm trying to get all into one central location. We've got my car just about done. I've got a great group of guys that I build with that have been putting a lot of work in on it for me. We were supposed to run a 3-man team show on May 21st.
Okay.
But there's some things that have came up, and I think we lost our third team member, so we're kind of still up in the air on if we're going to run it or not. So just trying to get everything situated. And I'll for sure be in a car at some point this summer. Where it's going to be at, I'm not 100% sure yet.
George doesn't know it, but Mark Klein told me about the cars he's got all over the country, and he said that they were 10 of the cleanest wagons you've ever seen or heard about.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Is that?
I wish they were all wagons.
But you didn't say none of them were wagons.
Well, I've got 2 wagons. One of them's a little rusty. It's a box Ford wagon over in Missouri. And then I've got a 77 Mercury wagon that's already at the salvage yard that I build at. Just trying to decide, where the best place to take those cars are. And they may not get ran this year. They might be next year. We're wanting to go and run either Urban Destruction or Redneck Rumble, maybe even one of the one-and-done classes at the Wicked Team Show next year. And so that 77 Merc wagon will probably end up at one of Brandon Dixon's shows.
I can hear your wife nodding emphatically to the idea of waiting until next year to run those.
Yeah. She's never seen me run. She's never seen me in the passenger seat of a car. She just kind of refuses to go to derbies with me most of the time, which is okay. But my daughter has already started hounding her about wanting to go, and she's only 3, so it's just a matter of time before they're at the derbies with me and getting to see why I love this sport so much. It's one of those sports though that as much as you love it, it can turn around and hate you in return. It definitely can. You've been in a spot now between apparel and graphics and stuff, and come a long way, like we said. But at the same time, it's still not your full-time job. You're still holding down a regular, and I want to call it 9 to 5, but it's not, because most of the time you're working nights and oddball schedules on top of trying to do the traveling, on top of trying to do the building, on top of trying to do the designs and the printing and the shipping. It can burn you out quick. Yeah, it can. My normal work schedule is supposed to be 4-10s, night shift from 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. Here lately, trying to get caught up with everything, it's been anywhere from 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. until 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. I got to get my hours in, make the bosses at work happy, as well as get orders out, and it takes a toll. You don't get to see, your family or get to do as much with them that you'd like. I actually took a little bit of a break over the weekend. We went to the Children's Museum on Friday in Indianapolis, my wife and daughter, and just kind of relaxed a little bit since it was a holiday. I still got some work done after they would go to bed. But,
right.
One of those things, you gotta walk a fine line trying to make everything fit the way that it needs to in the schedule.
It is tough. I mean, there's been a lot of times where once everybody in our house goes to bed, my second workday starts. And, about 10 o'clock, that once 10 o'clock hits, you got 10 o'clock at night out here, you've got another 4 or 5 hours of stuff that you need to do just like a regular workday before you can call it a night.
Just last night, my wife and daughter went to my in-laws yesterday during the day, and so while they were gone, I was working on getting signs wrapped up and ready to be shipped out. And then when they got home, I spent the evening with them. Once they went to bed, I was up till 4 a.m., doing design work and getting, other stuff that needed to be printed, ready to print. And, 4 a.m., I went to bed and set the computer up so it would auto print while I was asleep. It's just one of those things. You got to make the best use of your time. It's hard to do a lot of the times.
Yeah, there's been many nights where I've been up, on my night off watching TV or something, and I'll see Chris online, and I'll chat with him till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning as he's working on one of the 8 million things he's got going on in the Derby world. So it's, and that's the thing. I mean, with graphic guys, I mean, people don't, they unfortunately, a lot of times, people think that they're the only one that's got an order in, and everything's, that theirs is the most important, and they don't realize that you guys have so much other stuff on your plate, that you get there as quick as you can. But I mean, you're only human, and sooner or later you do have to sleep. So I mean, it's crazy, the amount of time that you guys have to put into that stuff. It's time consuming.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize the amount of time that it takes to do a design. For instance, if I'm doing a set of door wraps for somebody that I've never done any work for before, it might take me an hour or 2 hours to get something lined up that I think they're going to like. Mm-hmm. And after I get something set up that I know they're going to like, and I've sent it to them and they've approved it, the next time they order something, it might only take me a half hour to knock it out. Yeah. For what little changes they might have, but it that time continuously, stacks on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at it at a timing way by timing, there's a lot of time in just design work in itself, and
right.
A lot of people couldn't sit in front of a computer as long as what me or Chris do.
No, definitely not.
I just wonder how those computer hands do with a welder.
I'm actually all right.
Yeah.
I can MIG weld. I can't TIG weld. I learned how to weld when I was real young, and I learned on an old Lincoln Tombstone arc welder. So I didn't have any of the fancy toys when I was first derbying or anything. I mean, everything on my cars was stick welded, or it didn't get welded.
Right.
It was a bolt together or whatever. I've taught myself quite a bit over the years. I've never had any formal training on it all, but I don't make bad looking welds, and they always hold, so that's a plus.
It's always good.
Well, it's always good when the bumper stays on.
Yeah.
But you hit on something that was interesting. You were talking about how you set the computer up to auto print. Like, let's say you tried to do a couple, 2 or 3 wraps at a time, and you do that auto print deal. Have you ever woke up after you've gone to bed confident that all these things are going to spit out the printer, and it has stopped halfway through the third in line, which means that all that vinyl is now garbage, and you got to start over on all 3 wraps?
So the printer that I've got, I'm not going to say that it's smart by any means, because it doesn't design and print for me.
Right.
Which would be really nice. But it's got its own safety. So if it runs out of ink halfway through a print, it'll stop right where it's at until you replace the ink cartridge. Once the ink cartridge is replaced, it'll pick right back up where it left off.
Oh, my God.
I have had a few where something happened with the software side of it that's supposed to send the design to the printer.
Right. And
instead of it printing, something that's supposed to be, for instance, 48 inches wide, it decided that it wanted to break it up into small 3-inch wide sections.
Oh, no.
And waste a whole roll of vinyl. So there are issues that you could run into, but it's not as bad as what a lot of people think. The auto setup deal, probably the worst part about it is after it prints, say 5 or 6 wraps, you have to, in order to cut everything out, you have to go back through and cut each one of those individually apart. And so you might have a full roll of vinyl all printed off and still have to go back and cut everything apart and then put it on another machine. And
right.
It's just time consuming.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not one machine yet that can do all the printing and the.
If you design one that they could do it,
I know
you could
right?
retire.
I could. You would never hear from me again. If I was smart enough to know how to design printers, you wouldn't know who I was.
That's not very nice. I mean,
They've actually got printers out there that will print and cut all
right.
the same deal. The only issue that I find with those is if you're planning on laminating anything so that it is protected from the elements or from fading or anything like that,
Right.
You have to take it off of that printer, laminate it, and then put it back on that printer. So you're tying up one piece of equipment that could be continuously producing product.
Yeah, the other small thing that comes up to me is the freaking cost. You got to find a way to pay for it. You got to buy that machine somehow, and it just doesn't make any logical sense. I applaud you for having the machines that you've got, and the fact that your machine's smart enough to stop and you can put the cartridge back in. That's phenomenal. I didn't realize that you had one of those. That's I'm well, on one hand I'm pretty jealous, and I'm gonna get mean and say that you're spoiled now just for that.
Well, I mean I've worked hard for what I can do, and I luckily had enough collateral that I could put up against a loan on this, and in 4.5 years I'll own the printer outright. But it's all part of it. You gotta take that leap of faith, and luckily it's worked out for me.
It sure has. It definitely has. And you went from making some T-shirts to now you're one of the most recognized names in graphic art side of things, and doing commentary all over the country with Derby tees on Derby Nation. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I love it. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't change it for the world. There's not very many people that get to go out and do what we get to do.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. The part of a rare breed, I suppose you could say, George.
Yeah.
Well, man, is there any? I guess we ask everybody this, and since you got cars coming, I suppose it's fair. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank that helps get the cars to the track? We talked about the crew over there that does a lot of the work on the cars at the shop.
Oh, there's a ton. I got to thank Brian and Toby Gearhart. They're the guys that I build with. They own the salvage yard that we build out of. So they let me keep all my equipment there, as well as do quite a bit of the work on the cars when I'm not around. The car that I'm building right now, I've probably only got 24 hours in myself. I couldn't tell you how much time Toby has in on it.
Wow.
I got to thank Greg Marvin. He's bringing a car up for me from North Carolina this weekend. Jeffy's Fab Farm, Jeff Schumann. I decided to go LS powered with all my stuff, so
right.
Got a lot of great products from him. There's way too many people to even name, to be honest with you.
Well, I wish you guys the best. Have a great show this weekend at Urban Destruction, and be sure to keep in touch as I'm sure you will through the course of the summer. And I wish you the best when you get into the car, man. For sure, I want to know more about when you get a chance to actually get out there and run. And congratulations on the baby too.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Want to touch on something that you mentioned right as you were bringing me on. Sean McCollum got 4th in the raffle car at Urban Destruction last year.
That was a raffle car.
That was a raffle car.
Impressive.
We've seen raffle cars do really, really well.
Oh yeah.
In different intervals. That's awesome. And Sean's no slouch. He oversees the Derby in Tennessee, right?
Yes, down in White Pine.
White Pine, yeah.
Winter War Zone.
Yep, that's right. That's the one I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm.
They turned that show into a 2-day show for this year, so it's going to be a great one.
Nice. That sounds great. Yeah, I trust you'll be at that one as well.
Yes, I will be.
Awesome.
As of right now, until the wife tells me no.
Yeah, we'll check back in. We'll check back in about July 15th and find out if you're going to be at Warzone.
Yeah, works for me.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll see you.
Bye.
There goes George Highnote getting ready for Urban Destruction. Cool dude. I like him. But
you and me are on the same wavelength with the graphics.
Yeah, a lot of times. There's a lot more back and forth there than probably people think. So if if you asked somebody to build you, I don't know, a motor in Demolition Derby, and then you took that and took that motor all apart and took it someplace else and said, I want you to build me a motor just like this, that motor shop would probably look at you a little bit funny because that was somebody else's motor already. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't take an Ender's motor to Finger Lakes and say, hey, rebuild this motor for me just the same way that it was.
That happens.
You're right. It does. If you pick up on the analogy, it absolutely does.
That happens. Strangely enough, we'll talk after.
Yes, for sure. Well, anyway.
Stick a fork in it.
Yeah. Awesome to have Eric and George on hanging out with us for a little while. DerbyNation.tv's got some action this weekend. We've got some more stuff that we're working on. Some information to come on that. Don't forget, May Mania is going to be out there. After that, Bash for Cash is going to be out there. There's tons of stuff coming in the next 8 weeks, and that is just the tip of the iceberg for what the Demolition Derby season is going to offer you folks. We appreciate everybody that comes on and supports us week in and week out. That's going to do it for us here at the North Park building at Academy Square. We'll see everybody next time.
Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.